like to call the meeting to order. This is the August 31st, 2021 Rainbow District School Board regular board meeting. Please be advised that this meeting is being live streamed and will be archived. The Rainbow District School Board would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Anishinaabe, including Atikameksheng, Anishinaabe, and Wahnapitae nations. We would like to acknowledge that we are situated within the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850 and want to recognize the inherent rights of the Anishinaabe that maintained these lands from time immemorial. We'll begin the meeting with the roll call. Director Blazek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Linda Dubosky.
Present.
Carrie St. Jean.
Present.
Anita Gibson. Judy Cosmerly.
Present.
Dina Morrison.
Present.
Doreen Dewar.
Present.
Judy Honda.
Present.
Margaret Stringer.
Present.
Bob Clement.
Half present.
Michael Yao.
Present.
Okay, I'm just going to try again. Anita Gibson. Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Director Blazek. Approval of agenda, motion that the agenda for the regular board meeting of August 31st, 2021 be approved. Moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Honda. Poll vote, Director Blazek.
Bob Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Dubosky.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Honda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor.
Trustee Morrison.
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean.
In favor.
Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Okay, and I'm just going to try again. Trustee Gibson. Okay. Carried.
Thank you very much. I have a motion that Michael Yao from Llewellyn Park Secondary School be appointed student trustee for the school year 2021-2022. Moved by Trustee Honda, seconded by, I don't have a seconder,
Oh, yeah.
Trustee Morrison. Thank you very much. Poll vote, Director Blazek.
Trustee Clement.
Very much in favor.
Trustee Dubosky.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Honda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor.
Trustee Morrison.
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean.
In favor.
Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
I'll try again. Trustee Gibson. It's carried, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Carried. The motion is carried. I'd like to call on Director Blazek to administer the declaration of office and the oath of allegiance. Director Blazek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one point of consideration. Michael, I will be reading two pieces to you. One is the declaration, the other is the oath or the affirmation of allegiance. And at the end of the meeting, you will be asked to sign, and that will make the two oaths official. So I will start with the first, and that is the declaration to be a member of the school board. And please repeat after me. I, Michael Yao,
I, Michael Yao,
do accept the position
do accept the position
of Student School Board Trustee
of Student School Board Trustee
for Rainbow District School Board,
for Rainbow District School Board,
recognize my role and responsibilities
recognize my role and responsibilities
as a member of the board,
as a member of the board,
and swear to perform my duties and obligations
and swear to perform my duties and obligations
within the parameters set out by the Ontario Education Act
within the parameters set out by the Ontario Education Act
and the Trustee Code of Conduct
and the Trustee Code of Conduct
established by Rainbow District School Board.
established by Rainbow District School Board.
Thank you, Michael. Now we will do the oath or the affirmation of allegiance. Okay, repeat after me. I, Michael Yao,
I, Michael Yao,
do affirm that I will be
do affirm that I will be
faithful and bear true allegiance
faithful and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the trustees of the board, Michael, I would like to welcome you as the student trustee for the Rainbow District School Board. We look forward to having you bring student insight to the board table for the school year 2021-2022. Without a doubt, I know I speak for all trustees and staff when I say that we really look forward to the day when we can meet you in person. Thank you, Student Yao. Student Trustee Yao. Preliminary declarations of pecuniary interest. Oh, thank you. We've just got a picture of Trustee Clement has just joined us in picture as well as in sound. I now like to call on Director Blazik.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just before I start the presentation, I just wanted to let Michael know that incoming Director, Mr. Bruce Burgett, will have some comments with regards to your being a part of our fine group a little later this evening. So thank you. So, good evening, trustees. It's been a journey. You know, it's a journey that included 35 plus years embedded with limitless possibilities to influence and be influenced within the education milieu. Every single day was special, and every day was a privilege. Every day was an opportunity to positively impact the life of a child. A little quick history, and I know most of you know me, but bear with me. In 1986, I started my career in Attawapiskat. I spent a year in Attawapiskat, learned a lot. In 87 through 1990, I moved to Vaughan, in the Vaughan area, and I was with the York Catholic Separate District School Board, and I was there for 3 years. And then in 1990 till present day, I've been with the Rainbow District School Board. And of course, many of you will recall that I was at Marks Day Public School for 6 years, from 1990 to 96. Of course, 97 to 2004 at Churchill, and from 2004 to 10, superintendent, and of course, the last 11 years as director. But I want to speak a little bit more personal. Just so you know, my roots and my character. Now, these were the result of a Minnow Lake upbringing. Dad was a miner, employed at Inco, and successful in his own right, although he only ever achieved a grade 6 education, but was so driven by his work ethic that he never missed a day of work while working with Inco. Quite an achievement. Mom, at grade 9, entered the world of work. She was the caregiver, the tutor, the character builder, the kind and loving, and the ultimate child whisperer. Strongly involved with children's groups, sports, and of course being all things to her 3 children, and ultimately, she was my biggest support. I attended school in Minnow Lake, and like all folks in my age category will tell you, and I'm looking at a few of you, I walked to and from school every day. And did I say it was uphill both ways? and I had to cross a raging creek every spring. And that legend grows. I attended Nickel District Secondary School, now St. Charles. Not sure how we lost that bet. Then I attended Laurentian University and, of course, Nipissing and a number of other institutions to finally attain the qualifications I currently have. Never once did I think about becoming a principal, let alone an SO, and certainly not the director. I always remind folks that no matter what your current situation is, you should always put yourself in a position where you may be considered for a new opportunity, a new position. Well, what does that entail? Go to school, expand your qualifications, seek out new experiences, be brave. If you undertake this advice, at least you know you did what you could do to be included in a conversation for consideration. And maybe, if you were as fortunate as this guy, little guy from Middle Lake, you too would get this wonderful opportunity to experience what I have experienced. In 2010, I decided to apply for the director's position. Honestly, the way I saw it, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Heck, if I didn't get it, it would not be for lack of trying. I had several experiences where my time was not in the cards. In the 90s, I failed to get a transfer from Marks Day to Churchill Public School. 5 times. I tell everyone, characters develop as much by how you handle disappointment as you do by achieving and celebrating success. I remember the interview for the director like it was yesterday. I was terrified. I certainly did not want to embarrass myself. More importantly, I wanted to impress upon the trustees I was worthy of the conversation. I still have my prep notes, 11 years later. I often go back and reread them. They act as a beacon for me. They keep me focused. They constantly remind me of the promise I had made. Fulfilling on what you promise ensures trust and integrity. I hope I've lived up to those self-imposed expectations. It is, in my humble opinion, the legacy of a successful leader is that it is the action of walking the talk. I would be remiss if I did not say a few words about the folks that got me here. Of course, I must acknowledge my family. It goes without saying they are my foundation. I'm so lucky to be blessed with 2 wonderful sisters, a wonderful significant other, and of course, my 4 beautiful children. Can't tell you how much I have lived vicariously through each. Where they got their confidence and their courage and ability to map out very distinct pathways is beyond me. All I know is that when I grow up, I want to replicate their journeys. They exhibit more courage in a year than I have mustered up in a lifetime. Their stories and the influence they have on me would take several hours to share. Suffice to say, they keep me up at night worried about their next international adventure. At times, I wish they were more grounded, literally. Professionally, every single educator, every stakeholder I've ever interacted with throughout my career has informed my practice. Most often, the experience or the impact was positive. But for even those not so enlightening times whereby the experience fell short, I learned what I should not do. And every situation and every experience was and continues to be a learning experience. But if I can identify a couple of those that kept me in good stead, would be these: listening and making people feel valued. They would be ranked first and second. One thing I know, and this I'm sure can be validated by many, I'm not the smartest person in the room, but because I'm aware of my limitation, I know others can fill those voids. Just ask Heather, Nicole, Judy, Kathy, Bruce, and of course, especially Colleen. The latter kept me engaged more than you know. And of course, this influential group always supported me, even when they didn't know it. Hey, wait a minute. There appears to be a pattern emerging. Surrounding yourself with smart, wise, and politically astute people is a brilliant strategy, one that I've embraced from an early stage, and it served me well. Chair Dewar and Vice Chair Morrison would probably say that I need to expand that strategy, as a few gaps I still need to address upon my departure. Educational leadership is not the work of any one individual. It is a collection of experiences shared by many, often successfully implemented, and unfortunately, sometimes not. Even setbacks caused by the failures where we fall short or caused by the actions of others who may not even be aware of their influence is a leadership opportunity. Every interaction is a learning and teaching moment. My mantra, hard on issues, soft on people. And it's been a practice I hope many have embraced over the years. It certainly allows one to focus on the positives that folks bring to the table. And we have had tons of positives over the years. I have watched in amazement how educators over the years have left their mark on children and how they have influenced me and others around me. Some sage advice and everyday practices have grown on me and are often my source for wisdom and guidance. Bear with me as I cite a few that have had a huge influence on me. I'm on it. Never, I mean never, has a day gone by that Heather, my exec assistant, has not completed a task. Often before I even requested or even thought about asking her to do so. And for those who watched the comedy MASH, she is my radar. She was, and until I leave, continues to be my right hand. And yes, she can finish my sentences. 19 years, side by side, will do that. For every quote I've been attributed, the source is most often Nicole. It takes a lot to make me sound good, and she would tell you it's a full-time job. She's a miracle worker. Norm Blosick. When I hear my name mentioned in its entirety, it only means one thing. Chair Doer wants my attention. I think she had insider information. Only my mother echoed those same words and instilled the same resulting fear. A little secret. She is so generous, both with her time, honey, fudge, and of course, advice. Never have I felt more supported. She wears and bleeds rainbow blue. No detail is too small, and never have I witnessed an individual do so much for so many people, as well as mentored so many current principals. And they include the likes of Danielle Williamson, Paula Mackey, Jolie Pakala, Colleen McDonald, and of course, SO Kathy Watchnuck. And who is continuing in her footsteps? It's her son, Dan. Of course, for many of you who do not know who I'm referring to, it's Renee Kozier, a former principal at Churchill Public School. If she were here in this room today, she would be able to identify many details that I should be addressing. She was an incredible educator. Take care of the small things, and the big things will take care of themselves. Treat everyone as an equal. Speak to people's strengths. Value the work of every single person you encounter. So inclusive. Make them feel so valued. I will never forget what that was like. And that was the former principal, Bill Whitehouse, who always taught me that everyone brings value to the table. Of course, many of you might remember former SO, Fred Long. I've missed Fred more than you will ever know. His humor and wit were and continue to be legendary. He taught me a lot, like before we had Gmail and we were in first class, he would say, read your boss's red flags before all others before entering exec council. Really good advice. And then after borrowing an idea and claiming credit for it, I questioned Fred as to why he borrowed it. Rather, he stole the idea, and he laughed. And in the only way that Fred could, he replied, veteran move. Taught me a lot. Fried, boiled, baked, barbecued, doesn't matter how you cook it, he said. If you're going to eat crow, eat it quickly. Words to live by. And when you see, another words to live by, when you see the director, the business SO, and the HR manager walking your way, leave the office and leave it quickly, Fred would say. Fred had a lot in the hopper, and it was only when he shared what was in his wheelhouse that you could really appreciate his humor and wisdom. Of course, there are so many others I would like to speak about, but I would keep you here all night. They include Brian Slychik, Diane Kane Arnold, Jack Camalucci, Laurie Rollinson, Val Duhame, and Bev Webb, latter known as my shoe shine advisor. For those who are not sure what that means, I would ask that you look up Police Squad and look at the shoe shine person. All of these individuals had an impact on my career, but there are two special people that I have left to the end. A great friend of mine, some of you may or may not know, Gary Petrin. He was talking to me one day, and I was teaching in Newmarket in the spring of 1990. He knew that I wanted to come back to Sudbury, and he happened to mention that he knew someone that might be able to help, at least get me an interview. I said, great, can you set it up? Not thinking much about it, I hung up. A few days later, this was in late May, I got a phone call asking me to attend an interview. No remote back then. I had to come back to Sudbury. I quickly acted on it and got here quickly. I was so nervous. The interview was at Tom Davies Square. And the interview was, to say the least, one of my best. I answered every hockey question correctly. You see, Mr. Ewan had already done his homework, checked out my references, and all he wanted to do was see me in person. Thank God I knew a thing about the Wolves. The rest is history. To this day and for the future, I will always be grateful to Mr. Ewan and, of course, my good friend, Gary Petrin. Trustees, I would be remiss if I did not share a few words about our collective journey. Your faith and your wisdom and support allowed Rainbow District School Board to accomplish many things since 2010. Here are a few examples. 2011, a rainbow patent, the visual identity standards, not heralded, but let me tell you, it was significant. It's hugely significant. I'm very proud of what Nicole has done. Beardown College in 2012, a high school within a college. And since that date, over 1,000 graduates, a huge accomplishment in itself. And of course, in 2014, I believe McLeod Public School. We went from 0 to 13 social workers in the last 7 or 8 years. The Wembley Board Office, the move from 69 Yonge, this beautiful building that we now reside in. We had the Churchill revitalization, new gym. In fact, I went by there today. There's more revitalization going on. So truly excited about that. We have the TNR, the Truth and Reconciliation Commitment to Action, truly a legacy piece that has the ability to transform Indigenous relations and the trajectory for First Nations families. ABLS and the Espanola High School revitalization. Confed, new gym. Llewellyn, new gym and new entrance. And of course, our dome, a wonderful achievement for our students and our community. CVDCS, the new bill, revitalization, and our only K-12 environment, very exciting. MSS and the revitalization. And of course, the pandemic hit us. Whole new way of teaching. Of course, we still marched on and we still have our FI school over at LaSalle. And since 2010, I want you to just contemplate this for a second. We have managed over $2 billion. $2 billion. Education means a lot to Sudbury, Manitoulin, and Espanola. And on a yearly basis, we are responsible for 1,500 plus permanent employees. And in any given year, you can add between 600 to 1,000 casual employees to that list. Since 2010, we have spent $160 million on capital projects. This is because you had the courage to fight for new facilities. And as a result, scars many of you still wear, but so worth it for every one of our children. More importantly, we have graduated approximately 15,000 students since 2010. And yes, you've been wonderful champions for public education. You've embraced John Hattie in evidence-based learning, Eric Jensen, teaching with poverty in mind, and of course, John Rady's Spark, and finally, White Fragility. Your support for the children of Manitoulin Island, Espanola, and Sudbury has been unwavering. You know the value of public education and the collective good it brings to our communities. For this, and your continued support since 1990, and more specifically since 2010, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I think I better stop talking now. So thank you, each and every one of you, for all that you do for children. And thank you to all the staff, teachers, custodians, EAs, DECs, lunchroom supervisors, bus drivers, volunteers, vice principals, principals, secretaries, managers, support staff, trade, community stakeholders, and of course, parents and our students. And I'm sure I've missed a group somewhere. But for them too, I want to thank you. And I also want to say thank you to my exec assistants, Cindy, Doris, and Michelle, and of course, Jen. And finally, my awesome team for the past several years, Superintendent Kathy Wachnak, Superintendent Judy Noble, Superintendent Dennis Bazinet, Senior Advisor Corporate Communications and Strategic Planning, Nicole Charette, Incoming Director, Bruce Burzett, and of course, my partner in crime since 2002, Radar, Heather Thurkel, my Executive Assistant. It's been a privilege knowing and working with such a caring and collaborative group. I shall miss all of you. Hey, the sun has set. It's time. Madam Chair, it's with great honor, pride, and respect that I yield the duties of Director, Secretary of the Board, and CEO to incoming Director Bruce Burgett. And I yield for the final time, with the same honor, pride, and respect, the mic and the floor to you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Trustee Morrison?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's highly unusual, but given the nature of tonight, which is Director Blasik's last meeting, and I very much thank him for those kind comments. I just wanted to say a couple of things if I could. Director Blasik, my overall message to you is to thank you. There are many accomplishments. You've listed some of them in your comments to us tonight, Norm. I too have had a couple off the top of my head that I've thought of over the last 11 years. And so there may be some duplication here. I may bring up some stuff that you had not brought up. So if you just give me a minute, Madam Chair, there's a couple of things I want to thank Director Blasik specifically for. We've had many accomplishments during your 11-year term, Norm. We balanced our budgets every year. We operationalized many curriculum changes, and I won't start to list them all. Capital projects are numerous, and you've listed many of them, but what came to mind for me was the significant investments that were made at A.B. Ellis, Manitoulin Secondary, Llewellyn Park, Sudbury Secondary revitalization was completed, Confederation, recently LaSalle Secondary, Chelmsford, JK to 12, Churchill's revitalization, and now we've got the new JK to 6 FI school being built in New Sudbury. I also want to mention the Dome. That too is another legacy project that not only is going to benefit current Rainbow students, but students for generations to come. We've had new investments made under your leadership, Norm, to meet the needs of our students. And I mentioned specifically the Center for Education, also known as our new board office, our mental health team that you too have mentioned. We're very proud of those initiatives. The Restart program that was revitalized and established at the Wembley location, Berrydown College, of course, and I think Director Blasik, you've already mentioned this. As a result of Berrydown, we've graduated more than 1,000 students that would not have graduated high school without that program. I also wanted to mention the TRC commitment to action. We were one of the few boards in the province that not only have made that commitment to truth and reconciliation, but we've actually committed to an action plan. I too am very proud of that legacy. The other thing that you've been responsible for, Norm, is some new hires of some key people. The first I can think of off the top of my head is our superintendent of business, Dennis Bazinet. You were responsible for his hire. We also, under your tenure, have hired a new manager of HR who's had to lead us through, I will say, challenging negotiations and collective bargaining in the last couple of years. Also, our manager of finance, who is new to us during your tenure. Thank you for that. On a higher level, we've successfully negotiated, gone through 4 rounds of bargaining. I think it's 4, Norm, under your leadership. And that's, when I say successful, I mean collective agreements were reached successfully with all of our employee groups through 4 different rounds of bargaining. We successfully negotiated those agreements. The other thing that's been completed during your tenure, Norm, is, and I won't even begin to count them, innumerable audits. From both our annual audit, external audit of our financial statements by KPMG, to the numerous internal audits that have been done by our internal audit team. And that includes everything from purchasing, construction management projects, succession planning. The latest, of course, were things like IT systems. And the other audits that we've had, of course, have been both operational audits and policy audits from the ministry level. And there's been so many of those, I won't even begin to list them, but I'll start with one that have been reviewed a couple of times, which was the Transportation Consortium. And that's been done, again, under your leadership. Also, the ministry audit of our facilities and buildings over the course of our huge geographic area has also been completed successfully. And by the way, all the innumerable, and I won't begin to total the number of audits that have occurred during your tenure, Norm, were all successful audits. And when I say that, I mean they're good audits with no significant findings. And the only reason I can't use the technical term clean audits is because according to KPMG, of course, we're still doing school-based fundraising, and a result of that fundraising activity, which really isn't tightly controlled by finance staff or our board policy and procedures, we get what's called qualified opinions. But basically, these are fully satisfactory audits. The entire time I've been a trustee, Norm, and much of that was during your tenure, these have been successful audits. So thank you for that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is some of the legacy pieces. And the first one I want to mention, Norm, is the challenge meet. That is something that not only have you started, but you've kept that going within our board. And it's something that I hope, even after you're gone from us in retirement, Norm, I hope that we see you out at those challenge meets. You are both you were responsible for the genesis of this, which is so important to so many kids and families, but also you're the master freezy popsicle giver. So I'm hoping that we get to see you again every June at that, Norm. The other thing I'm not going to forget is our commitment to the Westmount project, because it's an example of something that you very actively have taken on during your entire tenure, both as a principal of Churchill, then as a superintendent responsible for special education. But it's really trying to work with community partners to meet the service delivery gaps that are really badly needed by some of our most vulnerable students and their families. So the Westmount project is something we'll continue to move forward on, Norm, and that will be on your behalf and as a result of the commitment you've made and the negotiations with our community partners. So thank you for that. The other thing I want to mention, of course, is 2 years of your leadership during COVID. And I think it's fair to say, Norm, you probably put off your retirement by at least a year in order to continue to provide us with some stable leadership during this last 2 years. And thank you just doesn't say enough. And we know you're not doing this alone, and that part of it is the fact that you are leading a fabulous executive team. You've mentioned those people by name. I also want to thank them all. They are doing the work with you to make all of these things happen. And it's a result of that combined team effort that we are in the position we are today. So thank you all. The last 2 years, of course, of your leadership under COVID, your priority was health and safety and wellness of students. And for that, again, I thank you. You also led, Norm, just overall in general, you led with purpose and passion. And I will really miss that, Norm. And I'll give a specific example of our school-based visits. Not something I was necessarily a big fan of when you started that as part of your practice, but I'm telling you, I certainly learned to appreciate that as someone who was a frequent visitor in my schools. I didn't think that I needed a team partner, including the director of education coming in with me. I thought I had a very good connection with my schools, the culture, and their families. But Norm, I learned so much from those visits with you. And not just because, of course, you've got schools wanting to show off to the director the best of what they're doing, but it's the conversations with families, with staff. I learned a lot from that, Norm. Never mind the trips back and forth. And I learned about interesting eateries like Kate's on Highway 17 in Marks Day, now one of my favorite spots. So thank you for that, Norm. So my last thing that I just want to say is I want to thank you. All of this, and there's much more I'm sure I could say. I'm sure some of my colleagues want to say some other things, but I wanted to thank you, Norm, and hope you know all of us want to hear this when we leave our profession after 30 years. You made a difference. And for that, I thank you. Thank you, Chair Doer.
Thank you very much. Trustee Morrison, do I see?
Excuse me, Chair Doer.
Oh, there you are.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to let you know it's Trustee Gibson here. I have been here. I was having some troubles with the audio, but I have been listening along, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm here. I was in favor of the previous two motions, but I just couldn't get the audio to work, but it seems to be fine now. So sorry for the interruption.
Thank you very much for doing that, Trustee Gibson. It just goes to show how technology is not that perfect thing that we would like it to be. So I thank you very much, Trustee Morrison, and Trustee Stringer. I think I see your hand up. Recognize Trustee Stringer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a few words that I would like to share with Director Blasek, if this is the appropriate time as well. I feel I've been blessed to have been able to work with you, Norm, for the last 17 years as a trustee, the last 2.5 years, and prior to that as a principal. As a first-term trustee, I've appreciated greatly that you've always been available to answer questions, provide insights, give me food for thought. As a director, you've always put the well-being and educational needs of our students first in all the decisions you made. You've consistently used your people skills to build relationships that opened lines of communication and trust in our system and our school teams. You've been a cheerleader and a strong supporter of our students with special education needs, and I've appreciated your relaxed, easygoing demeanor that was so helpful during challenging times. Most importantly, your communication and organizational skills during this pandemic built a sense of confidence in a time of such uncertainty. I know that you would say it was a team effort, but you provided the strong, stable, clear leadership that was needed. Thank you, Norm, for the truly outstanding work you've done for this board over the past many years. Enjoy the adventures ahead, and wishing you all the best, Norm. You will be greatly missed.
Thank you very much. Moving on. Preliminary declarations of pecuniary interest. None? Oh, sorry. Report from in-camera committee of the whole meeting of the board. There was no meeting, therefore there's no report. Old business, previous minutes. Motion that the minutes of the regular board meeting held on Tuesday, June the 29th, 2021 be approved. Moved by Trustee Clement, seconded by Trustee Morrison. Poll vote. Incoming Director Bourget. Are you there?
I am. I'm just getting set up here.
Oh, sorry. Caught you off guard.
I'm ready. Thank you for your patience.
That's fine. Welcome to the chair.
Thank you. Okay, poll vote. Trustee Clement?
In favor.
Trustee Dabowski?
In favor.
Chair Dewar?
In favor?
Trustee Gibson?
In favor.
Trustee Hunda?
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly?
In favor?
Trustee Morrison?
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean?
In favor.
Trustee Stringer?
In favor.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Motion is passed. Motion that the minutes of the special board meeting held on Tuesday, August the 3rd, 2021 be approved. Moved by Trustee Cosmerly, seconded by Trustee Stringer. Poll vote. Incoming Director Bourget.
Trustee Clement?
In favor.
Trustee Dabowski?
In favor.
Chair Dewar?
In favor?
Trustee Gibson?
In favor.
Trustee Hunda?
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly?
In favor?
Trustee Morrison?
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean?
In favor.
Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Unanimous?
Motion is carried. Motion that the minutes of the special board meeting held on Tuesday, August 10th, 2021 be approved. Moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Cosmerly. Poll vote, incoming Director Bourget.
Trustee Clement?
In favor?
Trustee DeBoski?
In favor.
Chair Dewar?
In favor.
Trustee Gibson?
In favor.
Trustee Hunda?
In favor?
Trustee Cosmerly?
In favor.
Trustee Morrison?
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean?
In favor.
And Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Unanimous?
Motion is carried. Tenders and requests for proposals. Motion that the board award the contract for mechanical and electrical consulting services RFP 2021-12 to Piotrowski Consultants Limited and SNC Lavalin Incorporated. Moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Clement. Poll vote, incoming Director Bourget.
Trustee Clement?
In favor?
Trustee DeBoski?
In favor.
Trustee Dewar?
In favor.
Trustee Gibson?
In favor.
Trustee Hunda?
In favor?
Trustee Cosmerly?
In favor.
Trustee Morrison?
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean?
In favor.
Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Unanimous?
Motion is carried. Motion that the board award the contract for agricultural consulting services RFP 2021-13 to Luchu Bodro Architect, Third Line Studio Incorporated, and Yalawega Boulanger Salach Architecture. Moved by Trustee Clement, seconded by Trustee Cosmerly. Poll vote, incoming Director Bourget.
Trustee Clement?
In favor?
Trustee DeBoski?
In favor.
Chair Dewar?
In favor.
Trustee Gibson?
In favor.
Trustee Hunda?
In favor?
Trustee Cosmerly?
In favor.
Trustee Morrison?
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean?
In favor.
And Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Unanimous?
Motion is carried. Motion that the board award the contract for supply of furnace oil, RFP 2021-14, to Cooperative Générale de Nipissing Sudbury Limited. Moved by Trustee Stringer, seconded by Trustee Cosmerly. Poll vote, incoming Director Bourget.
Madam Chair, I think Trustee Cosmerly has had a question.
Trustee Cosmerly, I'm sorry. I thought you were seconding it, but that's fine. You can still second it, but go ahead.
Yeah, my question was whether or not the student trustee should be voting on these motions as well.
Actually, we did look it up, and according to policy, the student trustee doesn't vote on a poll vote.
Okay, thank you.
But, I mean, it wouldn't hurt, but we decided maybe this was the time to just kind of do this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Poll vote, incoming Director Bourget.
Trustee Clement?
In favor?
Trustee DeBoski?
In favor.
Chair Dewar?
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor?
Trustee Hunda,
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly,
In favor?
Trustee Morrison,
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
and Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Unanimous?
Motion is carried. Motion that the board award the contract for supply of liquefied petroleum gas, RFP 2021-15 to Superior Propane Incorporated. Moved by Trustee Hunda, seconded by Trustee Cosmerly. Full vote, incoming Director Bourget.
Trustee Clement,
In favor?
Trustee Dabaski,
In favor.
Chair Dewar,
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor?
Trustee Hunda,
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly,
In favor?
Trustee Morrison,
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
and Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Unanimous?
Motion is carried. Motion that the board award the contract for inspections of asbestos-containing material, RFP 2021-16, in various school buildings to Englobe Corporation. Moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Cosmerly. Poll vote, incoming Director Bourget.
Trustee Clement,
In favor?
Trustee Dabaski,
In favor.
Chair Dewar,
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor?
Trustee Hunda,
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly,
In favor?
Trustee Morrison,
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
and Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Unanimous?
Motion is carried. Motion that the board award the contract for workplace environmental consulting services, RFP 2021-17, to Englobe Corporation. Moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Stringer. Poll vote, incoming Director Bourget.
Trustee Clement,
In favor?
Trustee Dabaski,
In favor.
Chair Dewar,
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor?
Trustee Hunda,
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly,
In favor?
Trustee Morrison,
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Unanimous?
Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda, the continuation of live streaming strategic planning committee meetings. Motion that the strategic planning committee meetings held in the Ernie Checkers boardroom be live streamed and that this be reviewed in 1 year. Moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Cosmerly. Poll vote, incoming Director Bourget.
Trustee Clement,
In favor?
Trustee Dabaski,
In favor.
Trustee Dewar,
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor?
Trustee Hunda, Trustee Hunda,
Sorry, in favor.
thank you. Trustee Cosmerly,
In favor?
Trustee Morrison,
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
and Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Unanimous?
Motion is carried. Reports and recommendations from board committees, nil. September school reopening update. Incoming Director of Education, Bourget.
Thank you, Chair Dewar. Trustees, good evening. At the special board meeting on August 10th, Director Blasek presented the reopening guide for Rainbow Schools and outlined the many protocols that will be in place when schools welcome back students for in-person learning on September 7th. I am pleased to provide this evening's update as we continue to live and learn in unusual times. While we had all hoped that this marathon of a pandemic might be drawing closer to the finish line, the race isn't over yet. We are taking a cautiously optimistic approach. As always, the health and safety of our students and staff is our first and foremost priority. Parents and guardians can be assured that we will continue to follow public health guidance and proceed with care as we reopen our schools and reintroduce extracurricular activities. Let me begin by telling you that we can't wait to see our students in classrooms, gymnasiums, libraries, in the hallways, on sports fields, on school grounds, in bands, and online. Our first goal will be to reconnect. We will prioritize the mental health and well-being of all students, making Rainbow Schools warm, welcoming, happy places to be. We are being very intentional about this. In fact, we have asked our administrators to focus on creating a sense of belonging in their schools for the first few weeks. Sifting and sorting through data to determine learning gaps will come in due time. Connecting, getting to know each other, and building relationships will be priority number one. Our mental health lead, Mary Jago, recently spoke with CBC about why it's so important for us to focus on well-being as we reopen schools. We will share the link with you, and we encourage you to have a listen if you have not already done so. I'd like to thank Mary Jago and her team for supporting our staff, students, and families. Public education prepares students to be active, confident, capable, and contributing members of society. Rainbow Schools play a critical role in the academic, social, emotional, and physical development of children and young adults. When students feel safe, supported, accepted, respected, and connected, when they have a sense of belonging, they're well on their way towards achieving their full potential. And when we build resiliency, the kind of resiliency we've witnessed in the last few years, the sky is certainly the limit. We will reopen our schools full of hope and optimism. And we can't wait to connect and reconnect with students and families. This evening I will touch on a number of topics, some related to COVID-19 and others related to education. Our core function remains student well-being and achievement. You will not be surprised to learn that conference calls have resumed with the Minister of Education and school board chairs, with the Deputy Minister and directors, and with our partners at Public Health sub-region districts. Soon calls will also resume between Public Health and school board COVID leads. Nicole Charette, who served as our COVID lead last year, will continue in a role supported by Superintendent Leslie Fisher, our school administrators, and our Health and Safety Officer, David Digby. You will recall that we had yet to revise some sections of our reopening guide when it was presented to you on August 10th. On August 11th, the updated COVID-19 guidance on the management of outbreaks in schools was released. We continue to review the guidance, and we will make updates to our reopening guide this week. Vaccination status will be an important consideration for public health in the management of cases and outbreaks of COVID-19 in schools. The outbreak management guidance outlines differences in case and contact management, including dismissals, isolation, and testing, depending on whether an individual has been fully vaccinated. And fully vaccinated means 2 doses followed by 2 weeks. Vaccination will help students stay in school and experience fewer disruptions. Public Health sub-region districts has advised us what will happen should we have a confirmed case of COVID-19 in Rainbow Schools. Any asymptomatic high-risk close contact who is fully immunized and agrees to testing would not be required to self-isolate. Asymptomatic household members of symptomatic individuals are not required to isolate if they are fully immunized. In most instances, fully immunized and asymptomatic individuals linked to a school outbreak would not be required to isolate unless the school has uncontrolled transmission, COVID strain, has vaccine immune escape, or symptomatic severe illness among fully immunized individuals. Of course, public health sub-region districts will continue to provide guidance on the management of COVID-19 in our schools. In our reopening guide, we indicated that in elementary and secondary health and physical education courses, the use of gymnasiums, swimming pools, change rooms, weight rooms, indoor physical education equipment, and shared outdoor equipment are permitted with distancing. Masking is encouraged, but not required indoors for low-contact physical activities if a minimum distance of 2 meters can be maintained between classes, and as much distancing as possible maintained within the class. Swimming is permitted with physical distancing around the pool area. Encourage this to mixed cohort congregating, so we don't want to have 2 cohorts congregating in that area. On August 13th, the Ministry of Education shared the updated version of the COVID-19 Health, Safety, and Operational Guidance for Schools for the 21-22 school year to reflect the changes from the Ontario Chief Medical Officer of Health as it relates to sports, health, and physical activity. High-contact indoor sports, such as basketball and wrestling, will be allowed for the start of the school year. Masking is encouraged for indoor sports where they can be worn safely on the activity for both high-contact and low-contact activities, and windows should be open when feasible to support increased ventilation during activity. These changes are aligned with broader community sport requirements and allow students to play a full range of sports within the school and through inter-school sport activities. On August 19th, we were advised at schools that the Ontario Federation of Secondary Schools Athletic Association, otherwise known as OFSA, will run a full slate of championships for the 21-22 school year, including fall championships. We will receive sport-specific COVID considerations and will put protocols in place to safely resume these activities. As you know, being active has a tremendous positive impact on physical fitness and is an important element in achieving mental health, well-being, and overall student success. For schools or parts of schools without mechanical ventilation, standalone, high-efficiency particulate air, otherwise known as HEPA filter units, will be installed in those classrooms and learning environments. And there is now a requirement that all kindergarten classrooms have a HEPA air filter. Information about ventilation will be posted on the board website before the start of the school year. The Ministry of Education has provided standardized ventilation report for all school boards. At the board level, the report includes the following. For the 2021 school year, fiscal year, school board-wide investments in ventilation projects, ventilation projects completed, number of schools receiving an investment, number of standalone HEPA filters units deployed. And for the upcoming 21-22 fiscal year, school board-wide investments in ventilation projects in progress or planned, and the number of schools to receive an investment. The report also includes information about ventilation at each school, including the type of ventilation system, school ventilation and filtration measures, whether the ventilation was assessed, a yes or no answer in the report, whether the ventilation systems are running longer, were higher grade filters installed, is there an increased frequency of filter changing, increased fresh air intake, which includes windows and or mechanical ventilation systems, where standalone HEPA filter units were deployed in portables as needed, and the number of standalone HEPA filters, HEPA units in place. We launched our Back to School survey on August 10th. We asked parents, guardians to confirm if their child or their children will be attending Rainbow Schools this fall in person with face-to-face instruction or online with remote learning. The vast majority of parents and guardians indicated their children will attend in person. Less than 5% have opted for remote learning. Here's the breakdown as of last week. And as you know, at this time of year, we continue to receive new registrations. In the elementary panel, 8,506 students will be learning in person, and 353 students will be learning remotely. In the secondary panel, 4,575 students will be learning in person, and 183 students will be learning remotely. With these numbers, we've been able to create a virtual elementary and new this year, a virtual secondary school. That means secondary students who have opted to learn online will have dedicated teachers for remote learning. They will not be part of their regular school classes that they had signed up for, and will be part of a new school. We will not have hybrid learning in our secondary schools like we did last year, which basically means there will not be cameras in the classroom. We will be updating our reopening guide to reflect the changes that I've highlighted for you this evening. On August 16th, we shared a letter from Public Health sub-region districts with our families. The key message: the COVID-19 vaccine is safe and effective and will protect students, families, and the school community, promoting a safe in-person learning environment. As back to school approaches, now is the time to get the COVID-19 vaccine or complete your vaccine series. Also, on August 16th, the province announced that schools will host vaccination clinics in the next few weeks. The clinics are part of the province's last mile strategy to target those who have yet to receive a first or second dose. The goal is to provide accessible and convenient access to vaccines for eligible students and their families, as well as educators and school staff who are returning to school this fall. Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health followed up with a letter asking local health units to work with school boards on school vaccination clinics. To further support a safe return to school by ensuring more youth can benefit from the protection offered by the vaccine, the province has extended eligibility to the Pfizer vaccine to children born in 2009 or earlier. That means all children turning 12 years old before the end of 2021 are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. I also understand the Moderna vaccine was recently approved by Health Canada for 12 to 17-year-olds. The next day, the Ministry of Education indicated that it intends to introduce an immunization disclosure policy for all publicly funded school board employees and staff in private schools as well, and licensed childcare settings for the upcoming school year. We received further details from the ministry on August 20th and subsequently developed a COVID-19 vaccination attestation form that will be distributed to all staff on September 1st. This form must be completed by permanent and casual employees at all schools and locations by September 7th, the first day of school. Staff will be asked to provide proof of vaccination, and a process is currently being developed to securely upload the documentation. Individuals who do not intend to be vaccinated without documented medical reasons will be required to participate in an educational session about the benefits of the vaccination. Regular rapid antigen testing will be required for all staff who are not fully vaccinated against COVID-19. And the Ministry of Education will be providing the educational session and testing packages to school boards. The attestation also applies to school bus drivers. On August 23rd, the Medical Officer of Health for Public Health sub-region districts and Directors of Education met to discuss school vaccination plans for the fall. There will be school-based clinics in the form of mobile buses and mobile teams in schools and evening clinics for families. School boards and schools are being asked to disseminate information from the health unit on consent processes to all students, parents, and guardians prior to hosting or participating in a school-based clinic. Parents and guardians will be encouraged to discuss vaccination with their children prior to attending a clinic. COVID-19 vaccination is voluntary for anyone eligible in Ontario. Public Health Sudbury districts shared the following vaccination rates to the end of August 22nd, 2021. Data 12 days after what you see on your screen, which is broken down by generations. In the total population aged 12 plus in the health unit's coverage area, 82.6% have dose 1 and 75.2% have dose 2. In the 12 to 17 category, 66.2% have received the first dose and 54.3% have received the second dose. So gains in vaccination rates are slow but steady. In Ontario, 72% of youth 12 to 17 have received one dose or more of the vaccine, and 59.3% have been fully vaccinated. And again, this is data as of August 22nd. You may be wondering if schools will be used as polling stations for the upcoming federal election. Guidance from the Chief Medical Officer of Health to the Chief Electoral Officer of Canada on August 24th was shared with school boards. It has been recommended that only schools that meet the following conditions will be considered. And they are that there be a direct path to the location of the polling station, that there must be separate entrances and exits, and that we must be able to keep students, including children, in licensed childcare centers co-located in schools and staff separate from the public. This is guidance that we will follow when it comes to the use of schools for the federal election. On August 25th, we received a letter from Public Health with our principals. The letter outlines back-to-school supports for COVID-19. I thought I would share with you the COVID-19 data from Public Health as we are 1 week away from the start of school. From Thursday, August 19th to Wednesday, August 25th, there were 35 new cases and 2 active outbreaks in the communities served by Public Health Sudbury districts. 19 new cases had a profile that is commonly associated with the COVID-19 variant of concern. At the end of the day on August 25th, there were 44 active cases and a total of 2,265 local cases since the pandemic began. A total of 1,056 were confirmed or presumed to be COVID-19 variants of concern. Of the 173 local cases of COVID-19 reported since June 1st, 6% have been among vaccinated individuals and 83% in unvaccinated individuals, while 11% have occurred among those who have received one dose. Here are the vaccination rates for 12 to 17 age group as of August 25th. So as of August 25th, 68.1% for dose 1, 57.4% for dose 2. Again, slow but steady progress. And as you can see by these statistics, being vaccinated does make a difference. On August 27th, the Ministry of Education advised us of updates made to the COVID-19 school and child care screening tool and the COVID-19 screening tool for employees and essential visitors in schools and child care settings. This is important because students, staff, and visitors are required to screen for COVID-19 before leaving home for school each and every day. The easiest way to do this is to complete the online school screening tool. When staff and visitors sign into our school, they are attesting to the fact that they are free of symptoms. Updates to the screening tool reflect the latest advice from the Ministry of Health for schools, childcare, and other workplace settings. I'm going to spend some time reviewing the updates because the pre-screening is very important. Here are the key changes to the tool. With regard to symptoms, the screening tool now includes a shortened list of symptoms that are most commonly associated with COVID-19. As per regular protocols, all sick individuals with any symptoms of illness, including those symptoms not included on the regular screening tool, should stay home and seek assessment from the regular health care provider if required. In terms of consideration for immunization status, asymptomatic individuals who are fully immunized or who were previously positive within the last 90 days and have since been cleared are not required to isolate if they're in contact with an individual who is symptomatic or tests positive for COVID-19 unless otherwise directed by public health. With regard to the isolation period, asymptomatic high-risk close contacts of a case are now required to isolate for 10 days unless they are fully immunized or previously tested positive. Siblings and other people in the household of the individual identified as a high-risk close contact can go to school, childcare, or work, but must not leave the home for other non-essential reasons. Household members, however, who are fully immunized or who had previously tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 90 days and have since been cleared are not required to stay home. Unvaccinated children under the age of 12 are now exempt from federal quarantine if they traveled in the company of someone who qualified for an exemption from quarantine based on vaccination status. However, they may not attend school or childcare for 14 days after their arrival. The screening tool now includes a question about a positive screen on a rapid antigen or home-based self-testing kit. Copies of the new screening tool will be posted on the main entrances of schools and the Center for Education. Schools will send home a printed copy with students for any families who request one. Similar to the 2021 school year, the downloadable screening tool will be made available in multiple languages. These additional languages will be added shortly, and we will provide a link from the board website. The screening tool will be updated as public health guidance evolves, and the Ministry of Education will advise us of any changes in turn, and we will share this information with our schools and update the board website. Public health units continue to have the authority to implement additional measures based on local circumstances. That means that public health subregion districts can require that we go over and above the minimum requirements in the screening tool based on what's happening in our communities. Also on August 27th, the Ministry of Education advised school boards to implement daily on-site confirmation of self-screening for all elementary and secondary students, staff, and visitors for the first 2 weeks of the school year. We are currently working on a way to streamline this process. The goal is to ensure that all students, staff, and visitors are monitoring their symptoms so that only those who pass the screening procedures are allowed to attend school or work. We had our largest number of students to date safely take part in kindergarten camp the week of August 23rd. 432 students from 28 schools participated in school readiness programming. The children had a lot of fun exploring, discovering, and creating while gaining a comfort level with the health and safety protocols. I'd like to thank the staff members who came back to school early for kindergarten camp. I'd also like to thank the volunteers who provided support for our students and staff. And I would like to wish our youngest students and their families a very warm welcome to Rainbow Schools. Teaching staff from a variety of Rainbow Schools also took part in the Summer Institute on August 24th and Wednesday, August 25th. The event provided the opportunity to network, reflect on teaching practices, gain new skills, and collaborate with others. Sessions were held face-to-face with health and safety protocols. They spanned all grades with a focus on literacy, developmental trauma, equity, mathematics, and mental health. Participants learned strategies to nurture student success. In addition, Rainbow District School Board's administrators came together in a physically distant setting for a 2-day leadership conference. It was the first time since the pandemic began that we've actually had an opportunity to see each other. Our principals participated in professional learning that they in turn will deliver to their staff this week. It's a tradition for us in Rainbow to bring all of our new employees together for an orientation session. Given that we have employees in a number of locations, we hosted our orientation online today. We covered many topics, from who does what to protocols and procedures, including health and safety. We wish all of our new employees a warm welcome to Rainbow Schools. Professional learning for educators and support staff will take place on September 1st and 2nd. We're absolutely delighted that staff will have an opportunity to engage with Dr. Michael Unger, a leading authority on resilience. He will be joining schools virtually on September 1st. Dr. Unger is the founder and director of the Resilience Research Center at Dalhousie University. His groundbreaking work as a family therapist and a resilience researcher is recognized around the world, with much of that focused on the resilience of marginalized children and families and adult populations experiencing mental health challenges at home and in the workplace. Dr. Unger is a prolific author and an uplifting speaker. He will be the featured presenter at the Parent Involvement Committee Annual General Meeting on August 19th, again joining us virtually. Also on the agenda for professional learning on September 1st are the COVID-19 health and safety protocols. On September 2nd, staff will focus on equity, inclusion, and well-being. There will be a session on trauma-aware classrooms and building resilience in the classroom. And this professional learning is taking place at each school. This week we'll launch our guide for students and parents for the 21-22 school year. We will also post an updated card calendar on the board website. I will be reviewing this guide with you this evening. As we get set to reopen schools, I want to take a moment to review the rules to live by to stop the spread of COVID-19. Screen for COVID-19 is part of your morning routine. The school screening tool is on the board website. If you're sick, please stay at home and get well. Remember to wear your mask, wash your hands, follow the arrows and mind the dots while keeping a safe distance as we come together by staying safely apart. The COVID-19 protocols are outlined in the Rainbow Schools Reopening Guide that's now available on the board website. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, incoming Director Director Bourget. We're going to have some problems for a while. I know that. I'm going to. I recognize that Dina Morrison has a question.
Thank you, Chair Dewar. Through you to the incoming Director Bourget. Bruce, just wondering, I'm wondering if you could give us a brief description of, and I thank you for your very detailed report. I'm just wondering, what are we doing to re-engage our lost students who didn't sign in for the last portion of last year, kids that we haven't heard from, even though staff at the school level have made every effort? What are we doing to try to re-engage these students?
There's several things we're doing. One thing we did is, as we put our survey out, any students that we didn't get a response from our online survey, all of our schools received a list of the students on register, and calls were made by each school to re-engage with those students and to get their selection for their mode of delivery for learning for this year. So that was the first part. As always, we have our student success teams will be working hard with students to re-engage them. We're certainly focusing this year, the first several weeks, we've spoken with all of our administrators, and they've heard from Mary Jago and superintendents, and we're all asking that the first several weeks of school be completely focused on re-engaging, resetting after being away for the pandemic and reconnecting. We know from the work from Kevin Cameron that when students feel safe, they begin to make connections. And when they're safe and connected, they feel like they belong. And when all three are in place, then they're ready to learn. So we're politely asking our teachers to focus on those. You know, we're going to be teaching and learning, of course, but we're going to be pausing a little bit on assessment and evaluation and putting additional efforts towards re-engaging. And, you know, we had 95% of our students, over 95% of our students choosing face-to-face. And that reason is because they miss each other, I believe, and they're anxious to see each other. So that opportunity to reconnect with each other and with staff is going to be the absolute focus of the first 2 weeks. For some of our students who may not be with us at that time, of course, the efforts at Barry Down College will continue to re-engage our students, to bring them back into school in different ways and you know the value of the college and the graduates. Director Blasek spoke to how many people we've graduated over the last decade. So all those pieces will be in place and more, in addition to the great work done by our staff and students, student success teachers, and our student success teams. So there's a comprehensive strategy there to try and make school as safe, engaging, and inclusive as possible to start the new school year.
Thank you, incoming Director Bourget and the team, because I know there's a number of people involved to make this happen. Can I just make one last comment, Chair Dewar?
Absolutely.
It's about how pleased I am, and I'm sure I'm not the only trustee on this screen that's as pleased as I am, about the fact that we are able to offer an alternative online school for our secondary students, and we're not going to be practicing hybrid learning, which means teachers in classrooms with cameras on, teaching to both kids in the classroom and kids at home, that we're going to have basically virtual teachers teaching secondary courses for the couple of hundred kids who at this point have identified they prefer to learn remotely. So thank you for that, Bruce.
Thank you, and it'd be unfair for me not to thank Superintendent Noble, System Principal Heather Gaffney, and Principal of Remote Learning, Emily Crusoe Parnell, in addition to many members of the Information Services staff for pulling together, and we all work together to create a secondary timetable. And their efforts after hours and throughout the day as we tried to start up to make this possible should not go unrecognized, and I greatly appreciate that on behalf of our students and staff, so thank you to them very much.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Chair Dewar, I have a question. Trustee Gibson.
Trustee Gibson.
Thank you. Through you, Chair Dewar, to incoming Director Bourget. I was just wondering, you just mentioned a little bit there about timetabling. Could you just expand a little bit how that will work for the remote secondary school? Just a little bit more information about what it will look like, and if there were timetabling challenges, or can students expect to changes, or they're just studying whatever they chose last year? Can you just expand on that a little bit, please?
Through you, Chair Dewar, and thank you for that question. Timetabling for the remote secondary school was quite challenging. At the start of every year, in all of our regular day schools, students get calls from guidance counselors to make course changes to make sure that they're on the pathway to graduate, and they're trying to match all of the courses and electives they chose. The virtual secondary school comes with a very interesting challenge, and I'll share some statistics for you. We had almost 200 students, 183 students, and you'd be surprised to learn that when we did all of the tallies, those 183 students made up over 500 different separate and distinct courses. And when you think there's 4 grades and several different pathways and all the different electives and interests, the average class size was about 3 if you tried to timetable it that way. So there is a challenge for us in terms of trying to find the most commonly selected and most essential courses, and that was certainly done. So you're going to see the math, the English, the science, and civics, geographies, histories, those will all be there for students. The greater challenge comes in the electives, and we certainly try to create a balance of electives that could be selected by students. But in the days, yesterday, today, tomorrow, we have a team of coordinators working to contact students and see if there's course changes required. So what's happening at this time, Trustee Gibson, is every student's timetable from semester 1 in their home school is being reviewed. Every course that is available in our secondary virtual school that matches their timetable, we're trying to match the students for those courses. And where there's a conflict, which does happen in regular day schools, let alone a new adventure like this, people are calling in a guidance capacity to speak with students and tell them that there was a conflict and perhaps they couldn't get a certain elective they wanted, but share what the options are. So similar to what's going on in secondary schools this week, as many guidance counselors are back doing this work, the same process is happening on behalf of our students who selected remote learning in secondary schools to make course selections to keep them on a path to graduate and meet as much of their interests as possible. But due to the sheer numbers and the discrepancies, we try to make sure our classes are full and vibrant, and we can't be running 500 different electives for 183 students, so there are some necessary course changes. But we did indicate that on our survey, that it may be a full remote school, and some course changes may be necessary. And certainly we're hoping to do as best job as we can to match everyone's interests and needs at this time.
Thank you very much for that answer. Very comprehensive. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, incoming Director Bourget. Anything else? I wondered, I missed it, or I misheard it, I think. When is the Parent Information Committee presentation with Michael Young? Do you know when that's going to take place?
I'm being told it's October 19th.
Okay. Thank you very much. I thought I heard August the 19th, so it was probably me. Thank you.
It
Any
might have been
further
me.
questions?
I apologize.
Trustee Honda.
I was just trying to get your attention that student trustee, I was trying to ask a question.
I thank you for that. You have to move it around if I didn't see it. Michael, thank you so much for being so patient. Student trustee Yao.
Thank you, Chair Tour. To you, incoming Director Bourget, I just have a question regarding the, I know when students come into school, they have to fill out that COVID-19 protocol. And I'm just wondering, I know last year a lot of students had difficulty finding this survey. And I know it was emailed out, but when we get all the emails from classrooms, having to go back to our emails and finding that specific survey was definitely a challenge and took up a lot of time, like precious class time. I was wondering if we were thinking of, I know one way that was done at Science North where I previously worked is QR codes were posted all throughout the building where people could scan them and it would immediately take them to the survey. And I was just thinking if we have those posted around the school before you get into classrooms, it would be a much faster way to get the survey out to students.
Through you, Chair Doer, and thank you very much for your question, Michael. I will tell you we're looking at many options at this point. The QR codes has not been one that's predominantly been discussed for a couple reasons. One, we want the screening to take place prior to leaving, not upon arrival at school. The second reason is that we want to make sure that our process is equitable. And while many students do have devices at this time, we don't want to make it something that is hard to conduct or to complete without a device, a student's personal device. But we do see the benefits of that technology, and we think there's lots of merits to your suggestion. But at this point, we're looking at trying to make sure we're equitable, and certainly re-emphasizing the point that the screening must occur prior to leaving, not upon arrival at school. But I do understand your suggestion. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. I'm going to assume that that's all the questions for now. Thank you, incoming Director Bourget. That's a lot of information that we're going to have to digest. And my understanding is it will be posted on the board website so that we can take a look at it at our leisure. Now we have the new business, the 2021-2022 guide for students and parents and guardians. And I will once again give the floor to Director Bourget, incoming Director Bourget.
Thank you, Chair Doer. Trustees, once again, this year we have produced a guide for students and parents and guardians of Rainbow Schools. And before I go any further, I'd like to acknowledge the exceptional work of Nicole Charette and Jennifer Batta in producing such a wonderful guide and resource for all our students and families. They continue to outdo themselves each and every year, and I had to say thank you before I even start to proceed. When you look through it, this guide contains important information that will serve as a handy reference throughout the school year. Our cover photo features a grade 3 student from Queen Elizabeth Public School, Noah Oppenheimer. As I present the guide, I invite you to follow along. You will notice that in some instances, we have once again included subject to change or currently on hold to the information. Given that we continue to live and learn during a pandemic, we need to remain flexible. We will continue to strive to bring a sense of normalcy back for our students whenever and wherever possible it's deemed safe to do so by public health and the Ministry of Education. At this time, we may have to host events virtually if we're not able to come together. You will see references to COVID-19 woven throughout the guide once again this year. As Chair Dewar expresses in her opening message, we are taking a cautiously optimistic approach as we balance structure with safety in the reopening of schools. Chair Dewar encourages parents and guardians to read the reopening guide for Rainbow Schools to learn about the many protocols being implemented in response to COVID-19. The reopening guide is a companion piece to the guide for students and parents and guardians. They are both important sources of information for the upcoming school year. Links to resources have been embedded in the guide for ease of reference. Chair Dewar also focuses on mental health. As we reopen Rainbow Schools, we will prioritize well-being. Our schools will be happy places where students feel connected to each other and to caring adults. Below the Chair's message, you will see our trustees, including the trustee representing our First Nations communities and this year's student trustee. We are so fortunate to work with a board of trustees whose leadership makes great things happen in Rainbow Schools. We continue on to page 3 with my message. I have taken the opportunity to remind parents and guardians about the importance of screening for their children from COVID-19 daily before coming to school. Secondary students can self-screen and monitor. I've also focused attention on the need to wear masks as part of the many layers of protection being implemented to keep our schools safe. Health and safety remains the first and foremost priority. This page also includes key contacts in administration, our vision, mission, values, and priorities, and a notice to parents that our strategic directions and annual reports are available on the board website. Together, we will create a new strategic plan with broad input. I will be engaging in conversations with trustees, administrators, staff, students, parents, guardians, First Nations chiefs and communities, and partners to map out our priorities together. Strategic directions will guide our work over the next 5 years. Pages 4 and 5 highlight information about kindergarten, including the dates for information nights in January 2022, childcare, before and after school programs, and a complete list of early on child and family centers in Rainbow Schools. Please note that parents and guardians must contact service providers directly to confirm availability of programs and for COVID-19 protocols for childcare. Page 5 also includes information about community use of schools. Community use is currently on hold, but it will be reviewed and phased in when deemed appropriate. Right now, our priority will be reintroducing activities for students in Rainbow Schools. Our secondary school programs are highlighted on page 6, including specialized programs, Berrydown College, Swakopmund Native Alternative School, and Adult Day School. In the case of Berrydown College, we have noted that full immunization is required for in-person learning, and this is in compliance with Cambrian College's policy on vaccination. We will once again offer an adult English language learning non-credit course for newcomers who have students in Rainbow Schools, if there is sufficient enrollment. The guide continues on page 7 with information about Google Workspace for education, which gives students and teachers access to Gmail, Google Drive, and a variety of applications for teaching and learning. We've included digital monitoring tips for parents, and we also remind parents and guardians to visit rainbowschools.ca for news throughout the school year. We continue with 21st century learning on page 8, including a focus on how students are encouraged to be good digital citizens. This is particularly important for remote learning. On page 9, we highlight what students and parents and guardians need to know about safe schools, video surveillance, controlled access, use of the internet and electronic devices, definitions for lockdown, hold and secure, shelter in place, and internal hold and secure, a term specific to Rainbow Schools. We provide information about Community Threat Assessment Protocol and the date of our Wear Pink Day, which will take place Thursday, September 16th. Page 10 highlights the work being done in equity and inclusive education. We included dates for the Embrace Diversity Free to Be Me conference. This leads to the 10 character traits that are modeled, taught, and expected in Rainbow Schools. The guide is home to the Code of Conduct. We encourage students and parents and guardians to read this information so they have a clear understanding of our policies, practices, and procedures related to discipline. On page 16, we speak about our work in Indigenous education, including our commitment to truth and reconciliation, and a strategic plan was adopted by the board in 2017. We continue to move this work forward, guided by the teaching of the 7 grandfathers. First Nations Advisory Committee meetings are also listed. We will also mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on Thursday, September 30th. And we will wear orange shirts as we reflect on the tragedies experienced by our First Nations as a result of the residential school system. Page 17 highlights information on French immersion and core French. We continue to provide the FSL Homework Toolbox online, which remains a wonderful resource for our students and parents and guardians. Pages 18 and 19 focus on special education programs and services. There's also a schedule of special education advisory committee meetings. You have often heard us say, what is essential for some is good for all. We have a perfect example here with Read and Write for Google Chrome, which has been purchased for all students from grades 3 to 12. All students can benefit from assistive technology to help support their reading and writing. Pages 20 and 21 provide an overview of how we're engaging students in new and innovative ways at the secondary level. We also feature information about volunteering. The number of hours required for community involvement activities will be reduced from 40 to a minimum of 20 hours for graduating students, consistent with the changes made in the 2020-21 school year. Listed also are the specialist high skills majors that we offer, and as you can see, the list of opportunities continues to grow. Page 22 provides information on students making the transition from grade 8 to grade 9, including an interactive information session taking place on November 16th. This event is designed to help students make key decisions as they transition from elementary to secondary school. If we are not able to host this event on site at Cameron College, we will present it in an online format like we did last year. As we move to the next page, we focus on the revitalization of Rainbow Schools, including the K-12 school in Chelmsford, which is now fully complete, the new field house linked to the Dome at LaSalle, the JK-6 French Immersion School in New Sudbury on the LaSalle campus, and the renovations at Churchill Public School. We also provide links to the school drinking water reports as well as our accessibility information. We highlight our work with eco-schools. Pages 24 and 25 focus on parents, guardians, and our partners in education, highlighting the role of school councils and the Parent Involvement Committee. We have a direct link to the school council nomination form, and the PIC AGM will take place on October 19th with a virtual presentation on resilience from Dr. Michael Unger, founder and director of the Resilience Research Center at Dalhousie University. We invite parents to mark their calendars for PIC meetings, which will feature discussions on a variety of topics. On page 26, we have focused on allergies and asthma, including an overview of the plan of care developed for each student with anaphylaxis, asthma, diabetes, and epilepsy, As always, we ask parents and guardians to please avoid sending any nuts or nut products to schools, as we have students with many allergies. Page 27 features our mental health strategy, which was adopted by the board in 2018. Mental health and well-being are fundamental to student achievement and continue to be a priority for us, particularly as we reconnect following an extended period of time of learning remotely. On the next page, we have information about the My Blueprint Education Planner and School Cash Online. Page 29 highlights Rainbow International and Globalized Classrooms in Rainbow Schools. The guide concludes with important dates, the school year calendar, and a directory of schools. We indicate that regular board meetings in the Ernie Checkers boardroom are live streamed and archived on our website. Strategic Planning Committee meetings are also live streamed. The guide is available online on the board website and will be distributed electronically through school communication channels in the first week of school. And we've also downloaded a card calendar for the 21-22 school year, which can be downloaded from the board website. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments about our guide for students and parents? Trustee Morrison?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I saw Trustee Cosmley had her hand up as well.
Thank you.
But just going to thank Bruce, thank Nicole, thank everyone involved for putting the product together. Again, I've had a look at it as Bruce was presenting it, but I can't wait to see it in person. So I'll be spending some time going over it. I think staff certainly know I've used this for years as a handy reference tool, so I plan on continuing to do that. So Bruce, I really like the fact that you've brought it up to date, that it reflects our current environment with the unknowns stated and the knowns also clearly outlined. So thank you, Bruce, and thank you to the rest of the staff who are involved in putting this quality product together. I know for those of you who attend conferences out of town, although we haven't been able to do much of that in the last year either, that we're always being held up as an example of quality communications, and that annual guide is one that's been held up year after year after year. So thank you again, Nicole. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you. Trustee Cosmerly?
Thank you. Just a quick question. Is the guide available on the board website now? And if not, do you know when it will be available? Because it's nice to go through it before school starts. Because as Trustee Morrison said, it's a really handy guide. That's my question.
Through you, Chair Dewar, Nicole indicates that the guide will be available tomorrow. There's just a few things being finalized, but it will certainly be available, and I would agree it's a wonderful resource for all of us.
Trustee Hunda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Director Bourget. I'm not sure if this is the proper time, but I received a number of calls and questions from people about the new federal statute holiday for the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation holiday on September the 30th. I wondered if maybe you could just verify at the board meeting while we're live streamed that there will be school classes in school, that this is, I know banks and federal businesses are closed, but it will be a regular school day, which I imagine most schools will be addressing similarly to, say, Remembrance Day.
Through you, Chair Dewar, the information we currently...
Excuse me, before you answer that. Trustee Clement, could you turn your mic off? Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Not a problem. Through you, Chair Dewar, the information we have currently from the Ministry of Education is that it is a federal holiday, not a provincial holiday, and we certainly will be doing everything we can to take that opportunity to educate, to inform ourselves, and to become stronger and better allies and support for all of our students who are First Nations, and there will be activities during that day to certainly recognize what the day is and the significance of it. So more information definitely to come on that.
Thank you very much.
I thank you very much as well. Moving on, the 2021-2022 Executive Council Portfolios and Family of Schools, incoming Director Bourget.
So very quickly, because I know you've received the resource and it will be posted, I'll just go quickly through it, but at the system level, responsibilities for program will be shared by 2 superintendents. Leslie Fisher will lead program from kindergarten to grade 6, and we welcome Superintendent Fisher to her new role, and Judy Noble will once again lead program from grade 7 to 12. And we certainly feel that they will be a dynamic duo with tremendous experience in assessment and learning and educational leadership. They are being supported by a strong team of consultants and coordinators at the system level, led by Principal Program K-6 Dan Kozier and Student Success Leader Heather Gaffney. Superintendent Watchnuk, of course, will continue to lead special education programs and services. And our mental health will be supported by Principal Colleen McDonald and Mental Health Lead Mary Jago. They also have strong teams dedicated to student well-being and achievement. New this year, Tiffany Hayes will join Executive Council as Senior Administrator of Human Resources. She will serve an expanded role, which will allow us to dedicate more resources to supporting teaching, learning, student achievement. We will focus on truth and reconciliation, mental health and well-being, and equity and inclusion, along with teaching and learning, not in silos, but integrated and embedded in everything that we do. So you'll see from the family of schools there are some changes. Certainly you'll see that Superintendent Fisher will be supporting and serving the Espanola family of schools and the Manitoulin family of schools and Sudbury Secondary family of schools. If you look at Superintendent Noble, she'll be serving and supporting LaSalle Secondary's family of schools, Lockerbie's and Llewellyn's family of schools, in addition, Berrydown College and Adult Day School. Superintendent Watchnuk will be serving and supporting the Chelmsford Valley District family of schools, the Lively family of schools, and the Confederation family of schools, and in addition, programs such as the Attendance Center, Frank Flowers, O'Connor Park, and Restart. That concludes my presentation and thoughts on that comment. I know I've had lengthy presentations. I could go on and on about this amazing team we have here to serve our students, but I will save those comments for a later date.
And we thank you very much, incoming Director Bourget. There's a lot of information that you have shared. It's amazing. It simply illustrates the amazing amount of work that our staff has done throughout the summer to prepare us for this this very special start, the 2021 school year. Next item is OBSPA fees. You received backup information, an OBSPA report that was included with the agenda. Motion that the 2021-2022 membership fees in the Ontario Public School Boards Association be approved. Moved by Trustee Clement, seconded by Trustee Cosmerly. Any questions before I ask the incoming director to do a poll vote? Thank you very much. Incoming Director Bourget, poll vote.
Trustee Clement?
In favor.
Trustee Dubosky?
In favor.
Chair Dewar?
In favor.
Trustee Gibson?
In favor.
Trustee Hunda,
In favor?
Trustee Cosmerly,
In favor?
Trustee Morrison,
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
and Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Unanimous.
Motion is carried. Thank you very much. No leave of absences. Director's remarks. So we're going to have it as the incoming director's remarks. Incoming Director Bourget.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to begin by welcoming Michael Yao to the role of student trustee for the 2021-22 school year. Michael is a grade 12 student in the French immersion program at Llewellyn Park Secondary School, where he's been involved with student council since grade 9. This year, he will serve as treasurer. Michael has shared that he hopes to play badminton as we reintroduce extracurricular activities. And he believes that being involved in school life, it's important because it provides opportunities for growth and new school experiences. And I couldn't agree more. He says, and I quote, "I've learned so much from being active in the student council as well as through the student senate. The experiences I've had have enabled me to be better and make better connections not only with my school, but also with fellow students. In addition to helping me grow personally, it also helps me to share my voice and make a difference in my school community." As student trustee, Michael says he will work alongside student senate members to make students feel safe and supported with the return to in-person learning. He hopes to improve on the quality of education by ensuring the voices of students are represented and heard. Michael had an opportunity to attend the virtual Ontario Students Trustee Association annual general meeting, where he enjoyed meeting student trustees from across the province. He plans to share ideas from other school boards to provide even more opportunities for students in Rainbow schools to connect. When we asked Michael why student voice mattered, he focused on opportunities for feedback and reflection, saying it promotes student engagement and creates a positive environment and culture in our schools. Michael is interested in a career in the medical field and hopes to pursue a post-secondary education in health sciences or biomedical engineering. He enjoys reading and playing the piano. When he's not working at Starbucks, he is camping with his family, enjoying the outdoors with friends, or sailing at the Sudbury Yacht Club. Michael, welcome to Rainbow District School Board. We look forward to working with you throughout the school year, and we know that you will be a strong voice for your peers. Congratulations. And to conclude my comments, I can't say that I can ever hold a candle to the wonderful things that Director Blasek shared this evening, but I will share a few brief thoughts, as I know that you've heard quite a bit from me tonight. Chair Dewar and trustees, let me begin by saying that it's an absolute privilege to serve the Rainbow District School Board as director. I look forward to working with you, superintendents, administrators, staff, students, families, First Nations chiefs, and communities, and all of our community partners. I would like to acknowledge and thank Norm Blasek for his leadership. Leadership, support, and constant advocacy for students. We wish you all the best as you begin this exciting new chapter in your life. Sorry. I'd like to say that's because I've talked so much tonight, but that's not why. I'm struggling for words. Our administrative teams have been hard at work preparing for the start of the school year. Our incredible staff will be back all this week for professional learning, and according to the official predicted enrollment for the start of the 2021-2022 school year, Rainbow District School Board will welcome 13,317 students, and I'll say that again, 13,317 students in Rainbow schools when classes resume on Tuesday, September 7th. There will be no early dismissal on the first day of school. but we can't wait to see our students and welcome all our families back. As I said, 96% of our students, roughly 95.5, will be learning in person. And those who have opted for remote learning, elementary and secondary, will be part of a virtual separate school. As I mentioned previously, goal number 1 will be to reconnect. Our schools will be safe and supportive places where students have fun while they learn. We recognize the pandemic has had an impact on students in varying ways. And while we prioritize reconnecting, mental health and well-being, our teachers will engage and support students to determine learning needs. We have an incredible team of administrators, educators, and support staff who will nurture student success. In the coming weeks and months, I will connect with the Board of Trustees and all of our school communities and partners to have conversations and gather input to create a new strategic plan. This will set our path forward for the next 5 years. I indicated in my update earlier this evening that public education prepares students to be active, confident, capable, and contributing members of society. Rainbow schools play a critical role in the academic, social, emotional, and physical development of children and young adults. We all must remember, when students feel safe, supported, accepted, respected, and connected, when they have that sense of belonging, they are well on their way towards achieving their full potential. On behalf of all of our staff, I would like to welcome our students and families to the 21-22 school year, and we can't wait to see you on September 7th. Thank you all.
I want to thank you very much, incoming Director Bourget. OBSPA Director Bob Clement. Did you have anything you wanted to share with the trustees this evening?
Pardon?
I just said, did you have anything you wanted to share with the trustees this evening?
Just a couple of things, thank you. We haven't had too many meetings there lately, but just before I start, I'd like to congratulate the incoming new director, Bruce. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure knowing you, and we're going to see much more of you. And Norm, it's been a pleasure knowing you for sure all these years. You were my director for all these years I've been on the board, and we never did get that golf game in. So retirement, there's no life like it. So you have my number, so if you're coming through, give me a call. And Michael, congratulations in the Senate. And badminton was my forte in high school, so I couldn't do it now, but I could at the time. We haven't had much doings with OBSPA. We haven't heard much from them. We have a questionnaire coming up for, I think, Judy, I think it's October or November to be filled out. And we've indicated to OSPA, even if when we go back to in-person meetings, that Northern Ontario, after experiencing, just the directors' meetings, instead of all of us traveling to Toronto, the virtual piece, we would like to hang on to that because it really worked well for Northern Ontario. And most likely, if we go back to the AGM or the PEZ, we'd probably attend that. But just for a meeting, it worked out really well. That's one of the success stories, I guess. Virtual for Northern Ontario. That's all I have for now, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I agree with you about attending meetings that are normally down south. We have the furthest to travel, so it's kind of nice if we can do it virtually. Student Trustee Yao, did you want to say a few words?
Yeah, for sure. So first off, I just want to thank everyone all so much. I'm really thankful for this opportunity to be able to sit here with all of you guys and to be able to represent the students from the Rainbow District School Board and act as the liaison between us students and the board, as well as the opportunity to be able to be part of OSTAGO, or the Ontario Student Trustee Association, and my involvement with them as the Northern Regional Representative for the Public Board Council Cabinet, and as well as co-chair for the Equity and Inclusion Working Group. I just want to say how excited I am to work with all of you guys. And I know it's been difficult times, and I know that we'll do great things for the board in welcoming all students back to school.
Thank you very much, Michael. Trustees' remarks and or questions. Okay, I see Trustee Hunda and Trustee Morrison. Trustee Hunda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll keep it hopefully very short. I just want to add my voice to welcoming Michael into his new position. It's been my pleasure to have known Michael now for a few years. And of course, he has some big shoes to fit, as we all, many of us remember his big sister was in this position. And I'm sure she'll be standing behind him and ready to give him any advice. But I do know that Michael knows that myself and Trustee Clement are available. Please feel free for any questions. It'll be a remarkable year, and he's a remarkable young man, and I look forward to working with you. I want to take a minute. I had the pleasure. I guess I want to say welcome back to everyone, and including, and I hope that it kind of reverberates out to the system. I had the pleasure of taking part in one of our school orientation sessions Monday for my grandson, who is going into high school at Sudbury Secondary. And, you know, I looked around, and through all that we've been through, you know, I saw all the staff there. You know, the building was not full of people. It was absolutely done wonderfully to keep people safe. We went in and, you know, it was all timed. But all the staff that was so eager and was there and was so excited, I mean, you could feel it. And as they showed us around, which I'm sure, you know, it was the same with everyone that went in, you could feel the excitement to have the students back, to be back face to face, and you know, the things that are being done in schools. And you know, that's just the one experience that I had. I know that is probably modeled over and over at all our schools. So I want to thank our staff for that, and I'm just so pleased that everybody's so happy to be going back. And it's easy to tell that this didn't happen in a day. So we have to, sometimes we forget about all the extra work that staff do to get ready for the school year. So I just want to welcome everyone and thank them. And I didn't get the chance because I don't have prepared words and I'm not good at this, but I do want to add my voice to a farewell to Director Blazek. Norm, you and I go back a really long time. I'm not sure how many of you know this, but way back in the day, some 5 years ago, I think Mr. Blazek was one of the FO teachers that folded up promotional pamphlets and carried signs and went and put up signs for me to get on the board some 25 years ago, something that I've never forgotten. And we've worked together, I think, very well over these many years. I too want to thank you for your leadership. When I look back, and we've talked about this, you know, when my time, or when I'm not ready to retire yet, but then that's up to the people. But when I do, when I look back on my time here and looking at where we were and where we've come, a lot of those changes that are dearest to my heart have you strongly behind them. And I want to thank you for that. And above all, I want to thank you for your friendship. We've had some really wonderful discussions over the years. And out of all of it, I think that I treasure most our friendship. So as you go on to this next step in your life, I wish you nothing but happiness. I hope you're not a stranger. I'm sure we're all hoping to see you as often as we can. And I know Kathy will keep us up to date on what's going on. But I wish you lots of fun fishing and spending time with your wonderful family. And I wish you nothing but happiness and rest. God rest. Go ahead. You've earned it. And again, thank you for all that you've done. And finally, I want to welcome incoming Director Bourget again, you and I go back a long way as well. Although I probably could be your mother, but it's been a long time. But I've watched your career come up, and I shared when I talked to you last that how many people, students, some of them belonging to me, and parents and things were so excited to hear that you have been in this position. I am absolutely thrilled to be and look forward to working with you. And again, I thank you for your friendship as well. And that's about it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Moving along. I have a few remarks, chairperson's remarks. Oh, sorry, and I had your name down. Trustee Morrison, please forgive me.
Not a problem, Chair Dewar. A couple of very brief comments, and some of the things have already been said, but I want to say them for myself personally too. I'd like to welcome Michael Yeo as our new student trustee. Michael, welcome to the table. We're really all looking forward to working with you. We know you will do a very effective job bringing student voice to our table. So thank you, Michael. The next person I wanted to welcome was our new superintendent, Leslie Fisher. Thank you very much, Leslie, for taking on this leadership role on behalf of our system. We all are looking forward to working with you. I also, of course, just want to say I did thank Director Blazik, and I made a few comments on his behalf. But Norm, it's you, the person, that I'm especially going to miss, so I'll just leave that as a comment. I also want to welcome our incoming Director, Bourget. Thank you, Bruce. We know, and I just based on some of the information and the way you communicate ideas tonight, we know we made the right decision, Bruce. So we welcome you. We pass the torch to you with confidence and enthusiasm. So thank you. That's it. Thanks, Chair Dewar.
Thank you very much once again. Now, I want to be sure that I haven't missed anybody. Okay. So, chairperson's remarks. I'm going to take the opportunity to extend a sincere thank you to Norm Blazik, our Director of Education, for his leadership over the past 11 years. Some of the things I have to say have already been said, but they are well worth repeating. Norm Blazik's 35 years in public education took him first to classrooms in Attawabascat, then to Southern Ontario, and finally back home to Sudbury and Rainbow District School Board. Director Blazik respects good governance. He appreciates the role of trustees, values the voice of our First Nations communities, actively engages with staff, students, families, and community partners, and he moves priorities forward with the support of an exceptional team. Above all, Norm Blazik has the remarkable ability to make us feel like we are making a difference for kids. And that in turn makes each one of us want to continue to contribute to public education. Norm has instilled in the Rainbow community the idea that to work in the service of children is a noble goal. With Norm Blazik's leadership, Rainbow District School Board has revitalized existing schools, built new schools, enhanced programs and services, and expanded community partnerships, always with a focus on student achievement and well-being. Indigenous education, special education, mental health, equity and inclusion, parental involvement, student engagement, professional learning, and curriculum development have all flourished under Director Blazik's tenure. Teaching and learning have continued amidst a global pandemic where Norm Blazik's leadership has placed the health and safety of our students, staff, and families as the first and foremost priority. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'd like to thank you, Norm, for being a champion for children. We wish you a retirement filled with good health and much happiness. And the thought for the day is from John Quincy Adams, who said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." Director Norm Blazek, you are a leader. Thank you. Just take a moment and take a look at the information that is, we have reports from the report from First Nation Advisory Committee. Their minutes are in your backup, and that's minutes from February the 18th. However, they are the official minutes. I want you to take a look at the future meetings. There's some items you may want to circle your calendars or add to your calendar. And the first one, Michael, I want to check with you. Is there a student senate meeting tomorrow? Okay, so I want to see if we can perhaps correct that, because in the backup in the future meetings, it says September the 1st. Does anybody know? Okay.
Trustee Dewar, the next meeting for the Student Senate is September 13th, and that would be a Monday.
Okay. September 13th. Well, on my copy of future meetings, it says September the 1st. But I didn't notice that until we just got started. So anyway, that should say September 13th. And you can take a look at the others and hopefully, as I say, circle your calendars. So just before I call for adjournment, I want to thank everybody. There's been a lot of information shared with trustees this evening that we are in fact sharing with the public. It has been a very emotional evening with lots of new people coming. I want to be sure that everybody who is new is or has taken on a new position realizes how much the trustees of this board value your input and your contribution to Rainbow District School Board. I know that the students are excited. I know that the staff is excited to get back. And that's what it's all about. So I thank each and every one of you for your continued contributions. That we do now adjourn, moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Hunda. And we'll just wave goodbye